Yeah, it was there. That was the draft. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty soon that we changed the shot of it. Yeah. Okay. Somebody was saying they weren't getting the picture, so I think they were just confused.
Oh. Everything else says other.
Okay, let me shut that off so we can. I can hear it too.
Oh yeah, turn it down. Otherwise you'll get feedback. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want that sound.
Airplane mode.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you, Mike.
Good evening, everyone. Everybody have their seats. First of all, let's make sure we have these either on the sound or the airplane. You don't want to be the one that gets the ding-a-ling-a-ling in the middle of the meeting. And now, according to this, I really get to say good evening. I'm Dave Sem, chairman of the JCE Co-op Board of Directors. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the entire staff, welcome to the 2024 annual meeting of the members, growing for you for 85 years. We'll be starting in a few minutes. Note that a question and answer session has and will be at the end of the meeting. If you have a question, please write it down. There's cards in the back of the room. We will also answer questions that were sent in prior to the meeting. At this time, Bob, would you like, and you're the District 10 Director, by the way, in case you didn't know that, would you like to welcome us, women, to Geneseo with a song? Thank you.
Sure, and your little card that you have on the table, sing along if you'd like, or clap your hands, or jingle your keys, whatever you'd like to do, or just listen to. JCE, come on, we are here for you. Just a little house in the country, the place where they were born. It was a heaven on
those who are here this evening. Bob was part of the original Farmers Mutual here in Geneseo. I want to tip my hat off to those folks because in 1935 is when the REA was started. They were in fact, they were the first co-op in the state of Illinois in 1936. So there would have been 88 years that they would be celebrating today. It started here with a couple of men in the basement of a hardware store. And now, as everything has grown, so have they. They're now part of JCE Co-op. Thank you, Bob. Thank you to those that preceded you. Now I'd like to call the annual meeting of the members of JCE Co-op to order. Let it be noted that there is a quorum present. The agenda for today is printed on page 1 of the annual book. You should have all gotten one of these. Mike, are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have one amendment to the agenda. We are moving our guest speaker's presentation to follow the President CEO's report. Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as it was amended? I need a motion. Somebody say aye. There's an aye. Do I have a second? Oh, I got one way from the back of the room. All those in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Please welcome Deacon Robert O'Rourke of St. Malachi, who will give the invocation. Is he here? I guess he's here. Russ Holsinger, would you like to give us the invocation?
Well, there's a little story behind me standing up here. Over the last 15 years, I've had the honor of being opening our meetings when we have our board meetings, and to pray with others along the way, and it's really meant a lot to me. So join me in a time of prayer. So Father, just pray that you would give us all the guidance we need as we move forward. And sometimes we don't even know if we're moving forward. Lord, we want to follow your direction. So show us the way. Help us to be good listeners. Help us to honor you and to live our lives in a way that makes you smile. Thank you for Joe. I almost said Joe Carroll Energy, JCE Co-op. Thank you for all the people that are involved, and there's quite a number of them. I just heard recently it's over 100 and something like 115 employees. That's pretty amazing. It's a great team that you've assembled. Thank you for our members, Lord. Thank you for those that are here with us tonight. And just pray that you would bless the work of those at the co-op, that you would give them your direction. And we just say thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Russell. Now, if you'd all stand, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is raised. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any veterans in the audience? Would you please stand if you are, so we can acknowledge you? I'll raise your hand. Thank you all for your service to our country. Now allow me to introduce the board of directors who will stand as I call their names. Jerry Meyer, District 1. Joe Mattingly is not here. He's with District 2. He is representing us this evening up at Dairyland, which is one of our power suppliers. Alan Henry, District 3. Dan Kendall, our Secretary, District 4. Pat Smith, District 5. Deputy, District 6. Russell Holsinger, Vice Chair, District 8. Larry Carroll, District 9. Robert Kuntz, our Treasurer, District 10. And I am David Sin, District 7, your Board Chairman. I'd also like to introduce Mike Casper, our CEO, and Terry Kirk, our General Counsel. At this time, the directors can leave the stage, and please disperse yourself amongst those out there. We're doing this because I've had complaints in the past. If they sit up here, they can't hear me well. So we'll get them out there where they can give me a critique. Probably send me to the principal's office. While they're dispersing themselves, are there any former directors in the audience? If so, please stand. I'm seeing none. But those that did serve, let's thank them for their service. You can applaud even if you're not here. You make them feel good wherever they're at. Mike, you have some people in the rooms? I think that's where I'm at right now. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our advisory council members provide us valuable insight, input, and feedback on important topics. I'd like to recognize those advisory council members that might be with us tonight. Again, if you're not here, I know you can hear us as well on either Facebook Live or WCCI. And if there are any here tonight, please stand. We want to thank you for your time and your feedback over the last year and in the past. So any JCE co-op member can become a member of the advisory council, and they can complete an application either on form online, or you can just call the office and we can assist you with that if you would be interested. I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce several special guests. First up, Officer Patterson in the back of the room. Thank you for being here, keeping us safe, our number one core value. And we have a number of other important guests from Prairie Power, our wholesale power provider. Tracy Fox, who's the general counsel, please stand. And Jeremy Johnson, Vice President of Engineering and Operations, who you will hear from later this evening. With a great presentation lined up for you. Ryan Stagan from CFC, a Cooperative Finance Corporation, our cooperative lender who has worked with us in helping us with our growth strategy. And thank you for all you do for us, Ryan, and the rest of the CFC team. From the Association of Illinois Electric Cooperatives, our statewide association, Doug Cook is helping us here tonight, as well as Paul Dow, who's also here, and Kayla, who's been taking photos. Thank you for being here tonight. I'd also like to give a warm welcome to former employees who have joined us tonight. I saw Bob Delks here. He is former manager of Farmers Mutual Electric Cooperative. Any other employees, former employees in the audience? Bob, you might know him. There are. I'm going to get to them here in a minute. Next, I'd like to recognize the members of our current team who are with us tonight. You can see all the people in the blue shirts in the back. Just a fantastic team, as Dave said. We are growing, and I want to, more than anything, thank them. Not only our former Bob, as well as current employees, for your commitment and dedication to safely serving our members who are with us tonight and who are listening. Now I will turn the meeting back to Dave for the approval of the minutes for the 2023 annual meeting.
Last year's minutes are printed on page 7 and 8 of the annual report. Therefore, I will suspend reading of those minutes. May I have a motion from the floor to approve last year's minutes as they were presented in the pamphlet? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Don't be afraid. Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the 2023 annual meeting signify by saying aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Now, Terry Kirk, our general counsel, will explain the process of director elections and will then proceed to present proposed bylaw changes. Terry?
Thank you, Dave. I'd like to send a special thanks to Sarah B. If you could get Sarah B out for me. Sarah was the one that realized that the air conditioning was off when we got here, and that was a hot mess. So I'd like to give Sarah a round of applause for turning on the air conditioning. Thank you, Sarah. I feel much better now. One director in each of Districts 7 and 10 are being elected by a vote of acclamation due to only one candidate having filed for nomination in each district. Also, elections by ballot were held in Districts 5, where 3 candidates filed for consideration, and in District 8, where 2 candidates filed for nomination. May I have a motion to elect the director from District 7, David Sen, and the director from District 10, Robert Coons, by acclamation? Need a motion? We have a motion and a second. And we have a second. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The elections by ballot in Districts 5 and 8 were conducted for the cooperative by Survey and Ballot Systems, who received the paper and web ballots, validated numbers, tabulated and delivered the election results to the cooperative. The candidates in District 5 were incumbent Patricia Smith and Desiree Einsweiler and Pete Regetz. The candidates in District 8 were incumbent Russell Holsinger and Ted James. The election results in District 5 and 8 are as follows. District 5, the winner was Pat Smith. District 8, the winner was Ted James. I declare the directors duly elected for Districts 5, 7, 8, and 10. Please let me introduce your elected directors, and if you could stand when I say your name. District 5, Pat Smith. District 7, David Sen. District 8, Ted James. And District 10, Robert Coons. I'll now continue with the bylaw amendments. We have 5 bylaw amendments to consider this year. You can find these on page 20 and 21 of the annual report. Unless I hear otherwise, we will take them all as one action. Number 1, addition to Article 2, Section 7, subparagraph D. This amendment adds language requiring members to treat all co-op officials with courtesy and respect. Cooperatives are based on the ethical values of honesty, openness, social responsibility, and caring for others. Secondly, Article 2, Section 12, we're deleting the word oral easements to be consistent with Illinois law. Third, in addition to Article 2, Section 12, a new paragraph is being added to Section 12, so the installation of cooperative services can be more efficient and performed in a timely manner in the absence of a signed written easement. The bylaws already require members to provide the cooperative access to any portion of the member's property and requires the execution of a written easement in or on the member property. This section will be utilized in those circumstances where no written easement has been obtained. Fourth, addition to Article 9, Section 9. The addition to this section regarding the appointment of committees provides consistency with past practices and existing board policy. And lastly, the fifth, additions to Article 9, Section 12, Section 2, and Section 3. The addition of language, quote, telecommunications / broadband services, end quote, in the bylaws reflects the growth of the cooperative and the inclusion of these business units in the event of a disposition of property, mortgaging, merger, or sale. May I have a motion and a second to approve the proposed bylaw amendments? We have a motion and a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. It's unanimous. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Turn the meeting back over to Chairman Dave Sent.
Thank you, Terry. You know, we have a tendency to talk about the past. 85 years ago is where it all started for JCE Co-op. From a single light bulb in a barn to an organization having facilities in excess of $213 million. I'd have to say we have grown, and together we will continue to grow. Not only has the facility grown, but from that single light bulb to an organization that serves 20,000 members and growing. I did say members. More correctly, member owners, like you who gave guidance to those of us who have asked to bring you reliable service and the technological changes needed to compete in an ever-evolving world we are a part of. We are a co-op that has grown from origins of electricity to an enterprise that has 3 divisions: electricity, natural gas, and high-speed internet. This has been accomplished through mergers, acquisitions, and hard work to expand our fiber to the home and businesses here in rural America. The introduction of high-speed internet will encourage jobs to move into our area. Yes, economic development. Help alleviate the pressures of inflation and lack of density by providing more members per mile. Agriculture has been the backbone of rural America. It still is, but that industry has changed, and a huge change has taken place. Moving from smaller family farms to much larger operations with machinery that is far distant from the horse and plow of old. Businesses that will need high-speed internet to compete in a global marketplace. So it won't just be fiber to the home and the school, but industries which include agriculture. All this plus the backbone of electrical generation over the last 100 years is on the precipice of change itself. The board and staff continue to remain vigilant. Though at times it appears that the cart has been placed in front of the horse, reliable, safe energy is what we all need to exist in our rural environment. As the United States moves down this path, remind your elected officials that those who compete with us in the global economy are not going down the same path, but forging ahead with fossil fuels. The U.S. has been a leader of the free world for a long time, probably because of the abundant resources that we have here. You and 42 million other rural residents have a voice. Let's use it to grow. Not figure how to use less and step back. We'll do our job. The board, growing with you is our future. Let's use our voices. Thank you very much. Mike?
Thank you, Dave. This year I'm excited to celebrate with you the 85th anniversary of JCE Co-op. Just like 85 years ago, when the co-op was formed by our predecessors, we continue to be committed to offering you, our members, real value and working together to improve the quality of life in the communities we serve. Because we are local, we take that a step further. We have a responsibility to support you, enrich schools, and enhance our communities. The advancement of our area's infrastructure, schools, public service, hospitals, businesses, and housing is crucial to its continued success. Our region is made up of dedicated, hard-working people with a purpose, making Northwest Illinois a better place for our future generations, and several of those are with us tonight. Your board of directors that you democratically elected to represent you chose growth as one of your cooperative's key objectives. We are growing for you because growth will positively impact you, businesses, and the communities where we live. Co-ops add value by providing services, and that makes our lives easier. Growth in rural America is essential to the overall success of the U.S. from agriculture to energy. Growth of the co-op helps stabilize rates for all the value-added services that we provide you by spreading fixed costs across more accounts. As a not-for-profit member-owned cooperative, we have an obligation to deliver safe and reliable utility services at the lowest possible price. Our goal is not to maximize profits, but to provide our services at cost with minimal margins to meet our lenders' financial covenants. The JCE co-op team, many of those behind you, are committed to our mission of delivering utility solutions to you and communities that we serve safely, efficiently, and responsibly. Our vision is to enhance the quality of life, of your life. Every day we strive to bring more value to you safely, reliably, efficiently, and sustainably. I look forward to your questions. Up next, I have the pleasure and privilege to introduce Jeremy Johnson, Vice President of Engineering and Operations at Prairie Power Inc. Many of you are familiar with Prairie Power Inc. They are the wholesale power provider for this region in the outer skirts of Geneseo. And we, as JCE Co-op, are a member owner, along with 10 other electric distribution co-ops in Illinois. Jeremy, the podium is yours. Looks like you have the clicker. You're ready to go.
Well, thanks to everyone for hosting tonight. It's always a pleasure to come to one of these meetings, to meet the owners of those who own us. So yeah, transmission. The first question I would ask, if I were wondering about the transmission system, is how's it going, right? Well, from my point of view, the grid is changing quickly, much faster than at any point in the past. For example, we have many generation resources that are being added and retired at the same time. What's being added are intermittent resources, typically wind and solar, and what's being retired is fossil and thermal units. Just the facts of the matter. We're seeing more lines that are needed, and those transmission lines are going to be built faster and faster than in the past. And what's driving a lot of this is federal and state policy. Because of all these changes, more is being asked of the grid than at any point in the past. Any point. Things that are being added, and these are items to watch, are electric vehicles, so-called beneficial electrification. We hear a lot now about AI, climate change, Bitcoin, and data centers. And because of all this, there's more complexity than at any point in the past. You take one power plant and you replace that with 100 spread across the landscape. There's naturally more complexity. So when we talk about the electric system, we can't help but talk about reliability. And so I think it's good to take a minute and define reliability. What do we mean by that? Do you want something to be 40% reliable? Well, if it's baseball and you hit 400, you're a Hall of Famer, right? But for an electric utility, you end up being out of service 5,200 hours a year. It's 216 days. So not too good, right? So, okay, all right, what else? How about 90% reliability? Well, it starts with a 9, so that's good, right? Sounds good. If it's basketball, you're a great free throw shooter. For the electric utility, you're out of service 876 hours a year, or about 36 and a half days, more than a month. Still not good, right? Okay, so how about 99%, 2 9s? If we're talking about your grades in school, you're one of the smart kids, right? But for the electric grid, you're out 88 hours in a year, or almost 4 days. That's still not very good. In truth, electric reliability tends to be 99.98% reliable. And that's less than 2 hours of service, out 2 hours in a year. So that's with all this complexity that we talk about, this is a great accomplishment. But we, because we are blessed with a great electric grid, we tend to take it for granted. So we just hit on electric vehicles. Let's talk about it for a minute. There's roughly 4.2 million electric vehicles, not electric vehicles registered in the state of Illinois today. To charge electric vehicles, most folks want a level 2 charger, okay? This is what the draw is. It's in kilowatts, 6.2 to 19.2 kW. And consumers want these level 2 chargers, okay? If you don't want to have your car sit and trickle charge for hours and hours and hours, you want at least a level 2 charger. So a pretty common thing. So I'm just going to do some math. I'm an engineer. I can't help myself. So if we call it 10 kW per charger, that ends up being about 50% more than a normal house peak load. If we just took 1% of the cars in Illinois, that'd be 42,000 cars at 10 kW, that's 420 megawatts of additional load on the grid. Like, well, that sounds like a big number. What's that even mean? Well, that's equivalent to another 60,000 homes. In Prairie Power, our all-time peak is 360. So if you take JCE Co-op, and you take our other 9 member owners, you put them all together, the highest load that we've achieved is 360. So that, just the 1% of electric vehicles is more than our all-time peak. So that's what that means. Governor Pritzker's goal is to have not 42,000, 1 million electric vehicles on the road by 2030. 6 years away. That's 10 gigawatts. So if you like Back to the Future, what the hell is a gigawatt? 10 of those. That's more load than all of Ameren, Illinois today. Or over 1.4 million homes. I just say to that, wow. So we talked about the generation fleet. I show a cowboy riding off in the sunset because we've seen a lot of that recently. I've got here a map of Illinois that shows circa 2009 what the power plant capacity looked like about that day. And it shows 2009, that was my first year at Prairie Power, so it's kind of a special year for me. At that time, we had 42 power plants totaling over 22,000 megawatts, and the majority of that was coal-fired. So it's been a little over a decade. I think this is an appropriate slide because change equals chance. So today, 7,137 megawatts are already gone from that 22,000. And the map on the right, we can see what was a fairly dense map in the past, now is thinning out quite a bit. By 2028, just 4 years from now, we're going to see another 7,673 megawatts go away. And what that's going to leave us with is approximately 2,000 megawatts plus Clinton and some other peaking power plants. So what's retired or what's going to be is about 160% of what Ameren's all-time peak is. That's just, again, a lot of change, and I think a lot of change equals a lot of chance. So I think it's good to see, so this is just me talking here, just laying the numbers out for you. I think it's good to see what other folks are saying. So in the news, we have John Bear. John Bear is MISO CEO. He says, you can read it, we have to face some hard realities. There are immediate and serious challenges to the reliability of our region's electric grid. And the entire industry, utilities, states, and MISO must work together and move faster to address it. MISO, great question. So Mike asked me what MISO is. MISO is the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator. So they're our reliability organization, our transmission planner, and they also operate the real-time electric market. It's where you buy electricity, okay? And so whenever you put all these utilities together, Ameren, Mid-American, and they're part of them, they form the MISO. It goes all the way up in Manitoba, Canada. It goes all the way down south to New Orleans. Pretty big area. So John Bear went on to say, a key risk is that many existing dispatchable resources, and dispatchable, he goes on to say, resources that can be turned on and off and adjusted as needed are being replaced with weather-dependent resources such as wind and solar that have materially different characteristics and capabilities. While wind and solar produce needed clean energy, they lack certain key reliability attributes that are needed to keep the grid reliable every hour of the year. So that's just one other guy too. What are other people saying? How about NERC? NERC is the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, responsible for the reliability of electric grid across the entire United States. Their 5 key risk profiles that just came out with are state and federal energy policy, grid transformation, which is changing resource mix, resource adequacy, and increased complexity, which I would argue is driven by state and federal policy, resilience during extreme events, which I would say again is driven by state and federal policy, security, cyber and physical, and lastly, critical infrastructure interdependence. What he means by that is, we used to burn coal, totally independent from the natural gas grid. Now we burn natural gas to achieve the same goal. 2 different systems that were essentially independent are now tied together. Natural gas system has a bad day, we have a bad day. That wasn't the case in the past. So, why is that? He hit on dispatchable. Why is that important? I ask folks sometimes to say, what's the voltage on the outlet? A few people get it, 120 volts, right? I then say, what's the frequency on the outlet? Nobody gets that. Frequency is 60 hertz. And the reason that's important, what that represents is electric generation and electric load. Every light bulb, that's electric load. They have to perfectly match. They have to perfectly match every instant. That's not every second, that's not every minute, that's not every hour, that's every instant. If they don't, we have cascading outages. And that's how the electric grid operates. We do that all the time. And we do it really well. We do it so well that when I walk into a room, I don't think about it. I know all the complexity that goes into it, and I just flip the light switch and go about my business. And this is a slide I thought was appropriate. It's not just generation and load anymore, it's all the complexity on the right, same load on the left. So what's all this mean? I think we're going to continue to see change. We've seen Ameren and other utilities make a lot of investment in high voltage lines. We're going to see that continue. We'll see more solar and more wind, and we may see batteries and nuclear. We're seeing some of that get discussed. We may see some new technology come onto the scene. We've seen a lot of talk about carbon sequestration that's making its way into some federal regulations. We've also seen nuclear fusion. That's how the sun makes light and heat. And so that would be really exciting stuff if it were to happen. But until we see this settle out, we're going to live with an increased risk of blackouts. I'm not saying we are going to black out. It's just an increased risk because we are really good at our job. But it is an increased risk. So that's the big grid. How about here locally in Geneseo? Let's bring it on home. I thought this was a good map. So you see where Geneseo and Ladwig substations are. We can see that they're kind of where the 3 big investor-owned utilities end. Mid-American in green, Ameren kind of in the orange, and ComEd in the the lighter yellow. And so that's, I like Little Brother, where I thought, if you ever watch that movie, ain't this place a geographical oddity, 2 weeks from everywhere? I see one person laughing, okay. So, like I said, end of the line for Ameren, ComEd, and Mid-America. So, you can kind of call this a transmission desert. There's just not a lot of opportunity where Geneseo is located. That's why the municipality of Geneseo exists, that's why the cooperative exists. But it's also a challenge we have to face. So, what are we doing about it? Well, historically, we've held discussions with the city of Geneseo, Central Iowa Power Co-op, Ameren, and Mid-America. What we need is a second transmission feed. So we got 2 substations on a radial feed. We lose that source, everybody's out. It's not a good situation. But none of these discussions have yet borne fruit. And I will say we keep after it though. It's going to take line construction to a new source to address the lack of transmission in the area. In the meantime, we at Prairie Power, we've taken some steps to try and improve reliability. We replaced the breaker at Atkinson, which was the source from Ameren, with new modern relays and a new breaker. We've also worked with Ameren to have voltage regulators on the source, which improves the voltage and means everyone's lights and everything stay much more constant. We've also been able to work, and this is a lot of work from JCE Co-op as well, with the city of Geneseo for load transfers when we need that. Here's kind of hot off the presses. More recently, we're looking into a joint project with Ameren. If this bears fruit, this will solve the problem. But there's a lot of work yet to do and some negotiations. It takes Mid-Am, it takes us, and it's going to take them. So hopefully this will come together. With any of these, though, there's no certainty. There's many factors at play with each entity, and you know how it is when you're in business. It's got to make sense for everybody. So that's where we're trying to get to. But if we can just make one segment go, we'll solve the reliability for this area. So I'll leave that with a quote then from Abraham Lincoln: the most reliable way to predict the future is to create it. So with that, I'll take some questions, if there are any.
We have a mic.
I don't feel like you have to ask questions. I do have some photos of some of the work we did too.
Okay, the question is, we talk about transmission lines, adding lines, getting secondary power, which makes a lot of sense. But nobody's discussing, what are we gonna do for more power? Because the math doesn't look good either.
Yeah.
And what are we doing for that?
I take your question, straighten me out if I'm wrong. I take your question to mean, where do the megawatts come from?
10-4.
Yeah. So maybe to say it another way, if we retire our power plants that have traditionally given us power, and we replace them with intermittent resources, there will naturally be a time when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, right? We talk about it at work. We got quoting Christmas songs, okay? So you can think of going, silent night, all is calm, all is white, right? So calm, no wind, right? And it's night, no sun, okay? So there will come a time, and winter will be the worst time, when that could happen. That's the risk of blackout we're talking about. So the way we do that is we need the resource. We can't defeat the physics. We need our policymakers to get the subject matter experts in the room. I think where we've gone astray as a state is we've divorced our policymakers from our subject matter experts. So you have people who make decisions and they bat the ball back and forth, but they really know nothing about what they're talking about. What's it take to run an electric grid? I don't know. But that's what we're dealing with. And until that time happens, we're to answer your question, are there things we can do? You know, you hear a lot of talk about batteries. I think batteries are interesting. But batteries are, in fact, a net load on the grid. Okay? So people talk about them like a generation. They're not. megawatts got to come from somewhere. They got to charge them. A lot of batteries are rated for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, and so that works great in principle. But if we have like a winter storm, no opportunity, no charge. So there's potential there as the opportunity presents itself to use batteries, but I don't think that fully addresses the issue. There's no, I'll quote Carl again, he's a great guy. He says that there's no better energy storage than coal power.
Quick question. So you mentioned natural gas.
Yeah.
We need natural gas to deal with. So how challenging is that for Prairie Power and the way that natural gas assets to get the natural gas to be able to generate when it's needed as well?
That's a great question, Mike. So how do we get the natural gas in there? The natural gas system always prioritizes on home heating. Okay? So when it comes to wintertime, they want to make sure all consumers, power supplier may not be able to get the natural gas to burn in combustion turbines to make electricity. So we've had times where we have been curtailed. We're not been able to buy gas at any price. We're connected to a wholesale pipeline and not been able to buy gas. And that's your Elliott, your winter storm area, if you're familiar with those things. Arctic blasts, you'll see that. And so what we do is we look at opportunities like turbines. These are effectively what you see on the 747 jet engines. That's what we use instead of thrusting the 747 in the air. We hook a generator to it and make electricity. Okay? So instead of firing that with natural gas, we end up firing that with fuel. Number 2, home heating fuel or diesel fuel. So that we can have stored on site and still be able to be electric. We've just recently added that to a couple more of our units at the house.
We'll get to some other questions here in a minute. Thank you, Jeremy.
I'll leave the figure up here for you.
Thank you, Jeremy. I understand my horse from the cart is not what's happening, it's the cart from the horse. There is some very, as you pointed out by Jeremy, is that the politicians aren't listening to the people who are experts, which is the reason we need your voices. As you have opportunities to meet with your elected official, tell them about your concerns. Tell them that you don't want to live with less electricity. You become very accustomed to conveniences, and it's the future of this country. We are the leaders of the free world. If we do not continue to be leaders of the free world, there's going to be huge changes other than just not having electricity. I will now entertain a motion to approve the financial report. It was printed on pages 18 and 19 for your annual report, as shown at the end of the report closed. May I have a motion to approve as was printed the financial report? I need a motion. So there's a hand, and now we need a second. Don't be afraid. Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second to approve the reports. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, in answer period. Mike, I think you are here to answer all these questions that folks have. Good luck.
Thank you, Dave. What we decided to do, just to keep things moving along, just in case there's some additional storms that come through, is to start serving food. I'm sure you guys hungry. So once they're ready in the back, you're ready? Oh my gosh, good. All right, so food will be served, but I'm going to run through some questions that we received ahead of time. If there are any questions, I believe there's some cards on your tables. If you have any additional questions, please write them down, and I'll do my best to answer or respond to those. If I can't get to them tonight, I will get to them in some other communication form, whether that's our e-newsletter, the ICL magazine. It's the only Country Living magazine in our Highlights section, but I'll get started. If you have any specific questions on billing, just put your name and number on there, and we'll go back to you. Just make sure you get it to one of our employees in the group. Question 1 that we received prior to these. The first 3 questions are related to fiber internet. The first one I want to really address because we are in Geneseo is, what are the long-term plans for building fiber optic network in Geneseo? And we are committed to providing all members fiber, and whether that's directly through us or working with partnerships. We have a number of partners in this area, Geneseo Communications, for example. They are building out directly in our service territory right now. What we don't want to do is overbuild people. That's a waste of the members' money. Number 2 question. I'm excited that fiber internet is explained on our website, if you want to go out to that, but construction has started in my area. Is there an estimate on when the install will be complete and service is available? How long does that process actually take? There are a number of steps required before service is available. So what happens first is construction begins, construction brings the fiber to your neighborhood or into your area. And then splicers, they have to be scheduled, they're going to post. And then someone will call you on the phone and set up an install with you. And so that can take anywhere from, when you first hear, construction started, it can take anywhere from 1 month all the way up to 5 months. I have 3 months. I'm hedging myself with 5 months because there's a lot of different conditions, whether that's weather or getting contractors into your area. But we're doing the best that we can to schedule those as quick. A lot of questions about when are we going to get it. So we keep pushing forward, and I like that term, pushing forward, bringing fiber optic to all members. Again, as I mentioned, even in the Geneseo area, whether that's directly through us or a partnership across our service territory, which covers 4 counties. Just remember that. And this is a large undertaking. It takes a team effort from the cooperative as well as you, and we appreciate your patience, and local leaders that are helping us. I really want to make with you all to bring fiber to rural areas. We have now received almost $100 million in grant funding. But I also want to make the point, if we did not have this grant money, it would be cost prohibitive for anyone to bring fiber into the rural areas when you're only talking potentially 1 to 2 people in a mile stretch in a rural area. Each grant, so that's part of it. If an area does not qualify for a grant, we rely on your interest to help move those projects forward. But again, I want to emphasize, we are filling in all the gaps with these different grants within those 4 counties that we serve. We expect fiber to be available throughout our service territory. Really, to answer the question on fiber when, by 2030, that seems like a long time. We expect a lot of that fiber will in the future. Will you be giving discounts or rebates for water heaters? Please check our website. We do offer incentives for gas and electric water heaters, as well as other appliances that meet certain energy efficiency standards. And John Scott is in the back of the room over to the side. He is the expert in this, and he can guide you if you have even a question tonight after the meeting. Question 5, is there still a price difference between the old JCE members and it also applies? No, not since 2011. All rate classes have now been merged, and that's specific to the plan for 2011. Question 6, are there any plans to take advantage of wind farming? And this specific question is go to Davis County. This could apply to any county that we serve. Really the experts are the wind developers. They're going to seek the best locations where they know where the best wind monitoring weather stations to determine where those spots are. Question 7, this is the last question that I have that we received ahead of time. What year did JCE Co-op start operating? I believe our chairman, Mr. Sen, responded. We were formed, JCE, Joe Carroll Energy was formed, or electric was formed in 1939. However, Farmers Cooperative to organize and energize its first electric distribution energized in 1937, but 1936 is when it was established. Any questions from that we received, or if you want to hold those up, if you had written down any questions on a card, or do we have any? Ed, I know your mouth's full. No, good question. Appreciate that. So we've had some issues in particular areas where you'll get the bill sometimes even after the due date. And our accounting and our billing group, that's also cooperative, and we've been monitoring it. We've been looking at scans. We don't want to blame anyone, and especially potentially, I'm not going to blame them. So we're looking into it at this point, and we think we're coming to a better understanding of what the problem is originally. So thanks for the question, appreciate that. About grain drying rates as well as irrigation rates. And I just want everybody to get a better understanding of how we develop these rates. So we perform a cost of service study. It's not us, it's an independent group that comes in. We provide them data from our expenses, what it costs to bring the infrastructure, let's say to an irrigation or to a grain drying facility. This is on the electric side, and even gas to grain drying facilities. And so there is a cost to that infrastructure. Even though you're only drying or irrigating for that certain period of time, there is still a cost to maintain and keep that infrastructure there. Plus if it's electric, the transformers, or the natural gas pipelines. So I just wanted to respond to that. That question came up last time. If you have any other questions that you think of complete, I'll give I'll hand the podium back to Dave.
Thank you very much, Mike. The chairman is unaware, and I am the chairman, of any unfinished business. There has not been any new business brought to you prior to the annual meeting. There being no additional new business, I declare the 85th annual JCE Co-op member meeting adjourned. And now we're already serving dinner. I want to thank you all for coming this evening, whether the time seems a little bit incumbent. We appreciate the support that you give us. Please, they're there to listen and then find the experts for you. Our job is to try to figure out how to best spend the money to move forward, to make sure that we have reliable, dependable service. Again, thank you all for coming. Please enjoy your meal and have a safe trip.
So I talked about our younger and next generation, and this is an important piece of education and scholarships. We fund those through unclaimed or donated capital credits. Many of you who have been members for a long time, you receive a credit on your bill, or you might potentially receive a check, depending on the amount. Tonight we will award our director scholarships. These are $500 scholarships that are awarded to students who are graduating high school, who are graduating high school seniors and will be going on to required to complete a short application and be present tonight with one of their parents or guardians. And if you, I believe I have all the list. If for whatever reason you are here and you don't hear your name, please speak up, because we are going to call your names up, and just wave your hand if I can. First, and please all come up and wait for your applause until everybody's up here. Tricia Soat. You were the first one, you were not the first one. Come on up. Ruby Dickerson. Jacob Schmidt. And Abigail Frank. Are there any others? So is there something I'm going to give them more? Okay, that's it again. And Peggy's right here, so she will tell you what. Thank you for coming. You are the future generation of the cooperative. And we are eating, and Laurel and John Scott are coming up to the front. They'll present the door prizes. We will note the names of the winners. You do not have to come to the stage during the prizes. We invite you all to remain seated and enjoy your appreciation dinner. Last but not least, I want to thank our caterer, the Fulton Meat Locker, the JCE co-op teams specifically who are serving you, and I'd also like to thank the school for allowing us to hold our meeting here this evening. I had Patterson, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, for all those present, after registrations here, we're going to draw. We're going to begin with the home energy audit with a $300 value. And that is going to John Miller of Mount Carroll. John, right here. We move on to 4 $50 bill credits. Sherman Jones. Carl Schmidt. There we are. Clyde and LeVon Eden. Jerry Meyer. Now we move on to 10 $25 bills. Randy Goddard.
Okay, one second, John.
Sure.
There's a lot of food that's still available, so please help yourself with additional, or just, how do you want to handle that, Sarah? Okay.
All right, the next one is Jay Dickerson. Sarah Castillo. Five more to go. Victoria Rowlands. Clarence and Joyce Dunn. Mary Belkins. Marilyn Wooster. Did I say that right? Very good. All right, the last one goes to Len Anderson.
Are you pulling the five from the section separately? The $5 lunch. Yeah, perfect.
I was expecting that to come out and say, "Drive carefully," or something like that.
I think he went to